Yo, what is up, everybody? How's it going? Alright, this is going to be the most ultimate guide to this game you're ever gonna find here on YouTube. So, starting off, detailed ranked 11 weapon guide. Aiming yourself for the late game requires obviously the highest ranked weapons available to you. The catch is obviously which one is better given the context of your playstyle and the enemy difficulty. This guide aims to explore each weapon with more detail to cover what it can/cannot do, along with the easiest way to obtain the weapon itself. Before I start, I have to lay down a few things. I fully expect anyone reading this guide to have completed New Game Plus, as well as be at least level 225. Rank 11 weapons are meant to only be used effectively by higher level players. If you don't fulfill any of those statements above, go back and play the game. Alternatively, please listen to this if you, a new player, somehow ended up here of all places. Beginner's FAQ. Hello and welcome to the Fatal Bullets Beginner FAQ. If you are here, that means that you have quite a few questions regarding this game, or you got redirected from the Fatal Bullet Discord, if it ever goes up there, and that is fine. After all, this game does lack quite a lot of information, and this guide hopefully alleviates some of the questions you face. Without further ado, let's see what needs to be answered. Is this game worth it? Not at its full price, no. Game's multiplayer is rather dead. Wonky AI teammates and harder offline level progression unless you own DLCs can be rather grating put-offs. Get this game while it's on sale, and preferably with all the DLCs to experience the full content. Then only will it be worth your money. What should I know first? Game genre: TPS with RPG elements. This game is a third-person shooter that incorporates a lot of RPG elements within the game. To give you an idea about how much is a lot, your success in the game is absolutely skill and build reliant, except some rare cases, on top of your standard TPS gameplay. A lot of newer players will make the mistake of prioritizing gunplay over the skills/builds part, and it shows the later you advance into the game. TPS skills can really only bring you so far up till when there are enemies which are too tanky, have almost unavoidable attacks, or require outlandish strategies to win by. For these types of enemies, you will need to carefully plan your build as well as skills to win against them. It may seem odd having abilities to momentarily be more tanky or deal more damage, or bullets that heal, make enemies easier to kill and or stun them. Hell, there are even skills that can make you dodge attacks or perform wild gun movements. The nature of this game permits this, and it would be necessary to utilize all of these to win the game. Bottom line, don't ignore skills and builds in this game. 30 FPS versus 60 FPS. The norm for people is to push a higher frame rate value, right? Sadly, many mechanics in this game are tied to the default console 30 FPS. This means that 60 FPS would alter some of the game mechanics. As far as we know, enemies become far more aggressive and attack far more often. Enemies become obnoxious aimbots with perfect headshot aim. Some enemies can have almost undodgeable charges. When you multi with 30 FPS players, whoever that ain't host will rubber band hard. Guns shoot faster and their accuracy stats seem to double. Of course, this is the trade-off for smoother, relaxing 60 FPS animation. You can also change the max frame rate using the .cfg file found below. You can try to exceed 60 FPS, but I strongly don't recommend, as you will actually break the game. Bottom line, 60 FPS is smoother but makes the game difficult, and anything above that may break the game. Proceed at your own risk. PC specific issues. If you are a PC player like me, then this game has several issues like difficulty in some button-based commands like switching weapons, gadgets, and casting skills. Switching weapons may occasionally put away your weapon entirely. Casting skills simultaneously may not register properly. You will cast the first one but not the second, and instead show you what skill it is. Simultaneous spamming of skills may force you to dash. UFG may not shoot on some occasions. Clicking/holding left click to fire may not always work when you actually click. The reason is that controllers have a button that replaces D-pad controls with the selected skills, hence the show skills button and how it displays the skill names. PC controls combines both the show skill and the D-pad direction mapping all into a single button command, which makes spamming the buttons only perform the first skill but not the second, and creates obnoxious ping. So if you're a PC player, try not to spam your skills if you can. I want to note here to you guys, do not use PC controls if you're playing on PC. For the love of God, don't do it. Contents. So now we're going to be going over what contents this guy is going to cover. Weapons, builds, skills and gadgets, Lisbeth's modifications, affinity, and miscellaneous. So let's get into it. Weapons. What weapons should I use? There are 9 types in which weapons can be categorized. Use one that suits you, but some weapons in this game are easier to use than others. Weapon classes are divided into pistols, shotguns, SMGs, assault rifles and LMGs, sniper rifles, Gatling guns, rocket launchers, grenade launchers, swords, and gun and swords. The easiest weapon classes to get into are pistols, snipers, SMGs, and ARs in general. Snipers have long-range damage that can target weak spots effectively. SMGs and ARs are easy to use since majority of them are full auto, and pistols provide high damage at close ranges, with crits along with its amazing utility with its weapon arts. Talk about it later. Shotguns have short ranges to use effectively but can be made into something that can pack a punch. Gatlings are heavy and slow but generally can dish out a lot of sustained damage. Launchers are underwhelming in terms of damage, but they do get their job done if you are committed enough. They also have separate weak spots, so experiment. A lot of people will be tempted to be the next Kirito by using swords/gun and swords. I advise you don't, as swords put you at extreme risk, and its essential sword barrier skill won't come until much later into the game. Of course, it's advice, so if you really want to do so, I won't stop you. Just a heads up, if you know what you are doing, any weapon you use will be good to clear the game. Got plenty of people who can confirm. But if you are the mid-maxing guy that really wants to have the best weapons, clear the game first, then we will talk about it. You may also notice that the same weapon have different base damages. Some have memory chips that alter weapon damage, while others can vary base weapon damage. This can vary from 95% to 105% of the base damage. Generally, seek out the specific weapon that does the most damage at the moment. What are damage types? Each weapon could have a different damage type that can influence how much damage an enemy takes. There are currently 4 different damage types at the moment. Physical, found in most guns, generally the most reliable in terms of damage consistency. Optical, found in the futuristic looking guns, cheap and often light, but deals reduced damage to humanoid enemies, human NPCs. Also have the ability to bypass some armored robots to deal full damage. Explosive, found in launchers, generally area of attack, AoE based, and have different weak spot locations. Melee, found in swords, consistent in damage and also bypasses some armored robots. What are weapon ranks? You will find weapons at a rank number, in your case 1 through 4. Simply put, the higher the weapon rank, the more damage it deals. You can upgrade a weapon which will add a plus behind the weapon name, example Procyon SL plus, and you can update it till a plus notion on a weapon, in which you can't upgrade it further and you will have to search for a similar looking weapon. Simply put, the higher the weapon rank, the better. What is rarity and memory chips? Think of them as attachments. They enhance a weapon/accessory to make it more powerful. Rarity denotes how many memory chips a weapon/accessory holds. There are 5 different rarities in the game: common, uncommon, rare, epic, and legendary. Common has 0 memory chips. Uncommon has 1 to 3 memory chips. Rare has 4 to 5 memory chips. Epic has 6 to 7 memory chips. And legendary has 8 memory chips on weapons. On accessories, commons have 0 chips. Uncommons have 1 chip. Rares have 2 chips. Epics have 3 chips. And legendaries have 4 chips. Strictly speaking, rarity does not always correlate with weapon strength, at least not for you at the moment. Weapon damage always takes precedence, and you will only need a few core memory chips to do well to start with. Besides, you will have to part with them sooner or later due to weapon rank nature. Whatever you have now won't be with you at the endgame content. I will cover the core chips at Lisbeth's section, but bottom line, don't worry about rarity until later into the game. How do I dual wield weapons? Beat Basalt Joe for the 3rd time. That comes way later into the game, so don't get too feisty about it. However, hover over the weapon you wish to dual wield and press X on PC, Y on Xbox, triangle on PlayStation, and there you have it. To dual wield, you will have to have double the required stats, so make sure your stats are high enough to cover it. Do note that dual wielding a gun will not give the offhand weapon the chips you have on your main hand. Instead, it'll be a chipless offhand common version that has its damage based. Just imagine having a common weapon in your left hand. Dual wielding lower ranked weapons are fine, but the higher you go, the more you will notice the difference in each of the weapons' performance. How do I wield gun plus sword? Exact same way you dual wield. Press Y on Xbox, X on Switch, triangle on PlayStation on the gun you are holding. Please note that you cannot change the pistol that is being used. Part 2, Builds, Skills, and Gadgets. So what are these stats and what do they do? Well, generally speaking, they make your character stronger, simple as that, but you might be wondering what exactly these stats might do. All of them are required to wield certain skills, but here's a brief summary of what they do exactly. And let me just go into the game really quick so I can show you guys each of these stats right here. So these are the stats. This is my build currently. Strength, one of the required stats to equip certain weapons, increases maximum equip weight, boosts sword damage. Vitality, Vit, increases your max health and defense. Intelligence, INT, increases buff duration, reduces skill cooldown. AGI, Agility, increases defense, introduces equip weight categories, helps with weapon handling, accuracy / reload speed. Dexterity, Dex, the other of the required stats to equip certain weapons, increases weapon accuracy, gadget, weak spot, and critical damage. Luck, LUC, increases item drop rate, increases the chance of higher rarity items, increases defense, and also increases crit rate. How should I build myself / my artifices? Hold on. The general build for yourself is quite flexible to suit whatever playstyle you need. Usually you would put enough points into strength and dex to wield your 2 weapons and then fill the rest of your points into whatever stat you need. Some players tend to make their stats as neat/clean as possible. Try not to do this, since the points you spend on one stat may have been more useful for another stat or stats. But nothing is holding you, so do what you want. If you need pointers on what build to do, here are some examples. So let me go into the game and show you guys. So some examples of some builds are the attack build. Let me go here. The first build we're going to take a look at is the attacker/DPS build. It's going to be relying on strength, agility, dex, and luck. Now you don't have to max them all out like this. I'm just showing you guys that at level 300 you can have 4 stats maxed out completely. The other 2 can go up to 37 even. Or you can have just up to about 70-ish in one stat. It's up to you. This would be a good DPS build, I would say. You're very squishy though. You take a lot of hits. You don't take that many hits. So that brings us into our next build, the tank. So for the tank build, it's going to look something like this. For the tank build, we're going to do vitality, intelligence. Again, you don't have to max all these out. I'm just showing you what the basic idea would be as a level 300. And then you would probably use some low rank weapons for buffs and whatnot, since if you're a tank you're most likely a support as well. At least I am anyway. So this would be a tank build. Okay, now if you go back to the guide, and then for our next build we're going to look at the buffer, debuffer/healer. So basically the tank and the debuffer/healer is this build in one right here. It's the same build, although you may want to switch this up to a lower one of those, and then that there. Maybe put that there and that there. There you go. At least a minimum of 240. And if you need more stats into the strength or dex requirement, lower these a little bit. Me personally, I think this is the only. This is the bare minimum I have on my. This is the build I usually give to my Arphasis right here, because she can wield a Sturm and a Procyon and have all of the defense in the world and have the minimum requirement for all support skills in the game. So that's good. Alright, those are some examples. We usually ignore luck because you can always borrow an NPC's luck stat from most things, so for the most part suit up with what you need. Don't worry if you made a wrong build. You can always respec by selecting empty customization slot in your console room for free. So what they mean by that is you go here, you saw me do it a little bit earlier, you go here, if I load into this, let's say I made this build right now, I messed up, I go to customization data, I go to one of the empty ones, select A, select load data, hit yes, and there we go. Make sure you always save before exiting that thing. Okay, now we're gonna go over the next things. Do keep in mind that you will need to relearn all of the skills and put the skills/gadgets/equipment back to their corresponding places for both you and your Arphasis if you load an empty customization slot. Your Arphasis build, however, would be slightly more static, as NPCs suck in terms of DPS and intelligence, making them at least help you indirectly would be far more useful. As such, their build will be more of a support build than anything. Support slash healer, which I just showed you guys what that would look like as a level 300. Minimum 240 int, 70 luck, 250 vit, 35 strength, 255 AGI, 87 dex. This sacrifices your Arphasis versatility, but in return you will have an ally you can tune to your liking. What skills are good? Depends on your build really. Some skills benefit some areas, but to sum it up in terms of roles, attacker slash DPS you would be using power form, quick shot, pistol specific, explosive shot, sniper specific, heat detonator, Gatling gun specific, gravitation shot, Gatling gun slash launcher specific, sword skills in general. For the tank, you would be using the skills armor form, human fortress, shield matrix, hyper awareness, unlocked through story, buffer slash debuffer, power break shot, armor break shot, electrodynamic stunner, viral shot, DLC 4 exclusive. And then for support, you would be using healing field, healing bullet, curing field, AED shot, power slash guard field, crit form, nanotech boost shot, eagle eye beacon, sniper specific. Mix of various builds. Sometimes you may want to take several other skills to make the build you truly want, and it is okay. Experiment. See what works with what and use your new knowledge to wipe your enemies from the map. How do I level up skills? Skill leveling is based on proficiency. So to show you a in-game indicator of that. Right here. Okay. To gain proficiency of a skill, you will have to cast, not necessarily use the skill. Each skill has a different progression based on the casting, but once you reach a certain proficiency level of a skill, you will be granted the ability to upgrade the respective skill, provided you have the stat requirements and the SP skill points needed to unlock the next skill level. Skill levels go up to level 4 and have different proficiency requirements for every skill. At level 2, you would need 50% proficiency of level 1 skill. At level 3, you would need 100% level proficiency of level 2 skill. And at level 4, you would need 100% proficiency of level 3 skill. Okay. And obviously, as you guys can see here, at level 4, 100% doesn't get you a tier 5. There is no tier 5 in the game, sadly. If there was, I would be shocked. Okay. Alright. What gadgets are good to use? Gadgets are slightly more independent from builds, but generally these can do. First aid kit and its upgrade, anti-ailment kit and its upgrade, grenades, flashbang, electrodynamic stun trap, anti-AR veil, melee booster kit and its upgrade if you go the sword way, and resuscitation kit DLC 4 exclusive. You mentioned weapon arts. Where and how do I get it, and what do they do? Visit your friendly neighborhood Argo and buy them. Think of it as your ultimate for each weapon class, and it will behave in different ways. So let's go ahead and go talk to Argo here. She's right here. If you are just starting, you would leave your home, to the SBC Glocken, like so, and then you would turn to your left, and right underneath these stairs, a little farther back, is Argo. And she will sell you information, and she will sell you weapon arts. See all these? I have already bought the handgun weapon art. By far, that is the most important one to get first, is the handgun weapon art. Okay? But as you see, she has other ones. So, okay. Pistol, handgun, provides a buff which massively reduces cooldown for your skills and gadgets. I believe it is an 80% cooldown. So think of it as recharge time minus 80%. That's what the pistol weapon art does. Okay? Which is insanely good. Shotgun. Powerful shotgun blast that deals damage and knocks back enemies. I'm pretty sure it's also explosive damage as well. Like there's an explosive side to that. It says shotgun blast, so yeah. Assault rifle / LMG. Load incendiary bullets and gets a massive increase in blaze buildup. SMG, bullet dance that deals damage in area of attack, AoE, and knocks back enemies. Sniper, load an enemy piercing bullet that does massive damage and penetrates enemies. Gatling gun, area of effect, ground pound that does massive damage and knocks back enemies. Launcher, fires a projectile that on impact breaks into a cluster of smaller explosions. And sword, executing massive damage dealing combo that usually destroys anything in its way. And gun and sword, similar to regular sword weapon art except for the additional small damage combo at the start. So, part 3, Lisbeth's modifications. So, in this part we're going to go to Lisbeth. We're going to talk to Lisbeth. So again, if you're just starting out and you've already visited Argo and you've done enough of the story, you should have this unlocked. So you go to Lisbeth right here. Alright, and as you see up there, mine is level 8. I'm going to talk about it. What is it and why do people keep on mentioning it? When people tell you to upgrade your weapons, they mean at Lisbeth's modifications. Lisbeth can either increase your weapon rank or increase the memory chip values. People parrot this as a lot because you can go to her and make the endgame weapons, but for newer players I wouldn't worry too much and just focus on weapon ranks. How do you upgrade your weapon / memory chips? Unless you have social anxiety or hate humanity, that is your friendly AI with all of your heart. With how the NPCs act in this game, you will. Just talk to her. You enhance weapon ranks and you transform weapon memory chips. Enhancing. Fairly simple. You increase weapon ranks until you can't anymore, which is if the weapon has a ++ notion to do so, simply pick one out of the 3 recipes she provides and she will upgrade for a small fee. So to show what that looks like really quick. If I can get my mouse, get back on the game. Let me buy something. Let me buy a weapon that can be upgraded. There we go. Alright, let's upgrade. So to show what that looks like, these are the 3 options: Formula 1, Formula 2, and Formula 3. As you can see, it requires materials, right? Accessory upgrading also requires materials. Yes, if you have the DLCs, you can upgrade your accessories and your weapons too. So this is where you upgrade your weapons. And if I buy an accessory really quick while I'm at it, since we're doing Elizabeth, I might as well show y'all. I buy one of those and I go back to my home. Eventually during once you reach the Forgotten Woods, you will unlock this door over here will be unlocked, and you will get this little thing called craft accessories right here. It's not here because I don't have it unlocked, but it's gonna be right here. You do a quest for Lisbeth. She'll be sitting in one of these spots once you get far into the story. And one of the DLCs, no, not the DLCs. Once you reach the Forgotten Woods, I'm pretty sure it's just Forgotten Woods, and you have to have the DLCs installed. You're gonna talk to Harry the remodeler, and he will gift you that craft accessories machine with the cost of he's going to ask you for 15 of these materials and 3 of these. It's going to ask you for 15 of those and 3 of these. Harry the remodeler. Remember that. Don't ever get rid of these 2 materials until you've gotten to the Forgotten Woods and have already bought that thing. Okay? Now let's go back to Elizabeth. Got a little sidetracked. I just figured I might as well mention that while we're there. Okay. Transforming. This one is long and ugly, so brace yourselves. Part 1 of transforming is taking memory chips from a weapon and transferring it into your weapon of choice, effectively allowing you to customize what this gun should have. You will either transfer it to an unlocked memory chip or unlock a locked chip to transfer it. You can unlock up to half a memory chip's capacity rounded up. So for example, if you have a 5 locked chips, you will be able to unlock 2.5 chips, which rounds up to 3. Part 2 of transforming is upgrading existing memory chips of your current weapon using similar memory chips from another weapon to improve the value of the memory chip. There is a limit on how far you can upgrade it at a time, and it is usually dependent on her modification level. Locked chips will automatically upgrade, whereas you will have to manually select unlocked chips to upgrade them. Part 3 is ensuring you have the required materials and weapons to transform your chips. Scan your loot to see for any weapon that may have a memory chip you want to upgrade or put on your weapon, or alternatively buy weapon ingredients from the Predatory General Shop if you are rich and lazy. So, basically what that means is this, and if I buy another one, so let's say I buy another one. Now normally you can't do this, but I have something in my game that allows me to change all 8 chips on a legendary weapon. Normally you can only change 4 of them, but basically what it's saying is select one, select another, and these first 4 you couldn't change. These bottom 4 you can change normally, but I have something in my game that makes it to where I can change all of mine to whatever I want. You select one on the left, you select one on the right. It's basics of how you do it. So boom and boom. Now the one on the left is going to get destroyed, and the one on the right is going to have those chips on it instead. Bam. Now we have just one Prosty with those chips on it. That's basics of transforming weapon chips. Now, as I said, as you see there, on the right hand side, the first 4 have a little yellow diamond to the right of the memory chip or stat. That means they are locked, and the ones on the bottom are unlocked, and they're ungrayed out. Those are the 4 that can be changed again to whatever you want. I recommend you put bounty chips on those. We'll get into bounty later. Eventually, probably in part 2 of this guide, because this is going to be a very long series. Alright, This system at first may look confusing or even terrifying, but it's really not once you get used to it. And with this, you can make your weapon really strong as well. So you will be visiting this often. Just remember, there's soft cap and hard cap on the chip value. So the game will literally tell you hold up once you reach that point, and you can get along just fine with using soft cap chips. So leave the max values for endgame. That would be bounty chips, by the way. Max values means bounty chips. So, I showed you the transforming part. Another thing to note is, other than the enhancing and the transforming, is the weapon overclocking. You get those from certain DLC bosses, and as you see here, it has 11 enhancements left on the bottom left. Click that, and as you see at the top right of the weapon card, it increases its power, its base power. So that's all those do, and it's pretty good. Now, what it was saying for the materials and the Predatory General Shop, there's two shops in the SBC Glocken to be of note. First one is the Predatory General Shop. This is used to enhance already existing memory chips on a weapon. So let's say I want to increase this process's memory chips. Physical attack's a good one. Let's do that. You would talk to this guy, scroll over to weapons, press RT if you're on Xbox, scroll down the list to whatever chip you're looking for, in this case, physical attack, and buy at least, if you're just starting out, at least 11 of them. Hit buy. Now you will need a lot of credits for this, but don't worry, you can get credits pretty easily. And if you can't find the memory chip, you just back out of his shop, go back in, and you'll have brand new items to sell, and you can search for it again. But most of the time, he'll always have the chip you're looking for. If he doesn't, just back out, go back in. Okay? Now, the next shop we're going to look at is this one over here. It's going to be right up these stairs, right on top of where Argo is, right above her. If you go up the stairs and then go up again, and then turn to your left, right here is this guy. This is the Shady Materials Shop. This guy sells materials. The two materials you're going to be needing for Elizabeth is going to be unlocking chips and transforming chips. I recommend just getting the max of these. That way you don't have to keep going back and forth. You will have to actually keep going back and forth for the transformation chips, because you're going to be transforming a lot of those weapons we just bought, right? So to show you what that looks like, if we go to Elizabeth Workshop again, those 11 physical attack weapons we just bought, we're going to go to transform, go to Prosty, and then hit select, hit start on the weapon, hover over the weapon, hit start, start. You're going to see a green plus icon on the left of each of these weapons. That means it's being transformed all at once. And boom. As you can see from on the left, physical attack 8.929%, and then on the right, physical attack plus 20.02%. Went up quite a lot. And as you can see, it increased the physical power as well. So that's enhancing memory chips, and then if you to take it a step further, you would use the overclocking chips onto that. Okay, so pretty sure that covers that. So you can upgrade them one by one, or just like I showed you, a bunch of weapons at once. To use a bunch of weapons, start the process with you gotta make sure you have enough materials. I just showed you guys that. So when do I upgrade my weapons / memory chips? You should upgrade weapons when you feel like your current weapon doesn't do quite enough damage, or maybe you're running out of space, maybe you just need to update your chips, which you should do whenever you get the chance to visit Lisbeth. Usually when you praise weapons at AGL and don't find anything in particular that you wish to use, you just use their chips for your current gun to make it stronger and keep it up to date with each visit. And if your updating chips isn't enough, well, if your gun doesn't have the ++ next to its name, go ahead and upgrade its rank. Do keep in mind that the stat requirements will increase, so before you do upgrade its rank, make sure you can equip it. If you are really lost when you should enhance your guns, follow the NPCs. They upgrade it at a certain level and you can just follow suit. What are the main chips for me to have / upgrade? Well, this depends on what weapon you are upgrading. Generally speaking, these are almost always good to upgrade. Physical attack / optical attack depends on which ammo, optical or physical gun uses, but it's a flat increase to your weapon's base power. Weapon attack, same as above, only you don't have to know what ammo it uses. Weak spot damage, a great chip to have on most weapons, especially if you can aim decently and hit weak spots with no trouble. Experience points, self-explanatory, increases received EXP by all of your party members. How do I gain Lisbeth's modification levels? Clear the story mode in normal and extreme, New Game Plus difficulties, and DLCs. You will gain them once you reach certain checkpoints within the story. DLCs and major updates will add more modification levels, so clear the respective DLC storylines for more. My weapon has damage vs. X chip. What enemy is affected by this chip? People get confused by this chip fairly easily due to how some enemies can be rather ambiguous with how it looks. There are 3 different damage vs. X chips that can boost damage against these units. All enemies fall under these categories: mechs, lifeforms, and humanoids. Mechs are most robot-looking enemies, example being drones, automatons, spider mechs, turrets, facsimiles, crystals, collars, flying or large mechs, and robotic bosses. Life forms are bees, scorpions, worms, delinquents, and animal-looking bosses. Humanoids are all-player enemies, field NPCs, bounty targets, and BOB, bullet-to-bullet contestants. Part 4, what is affinity? A measure of how your ally NPC loves you. So, let's take a look at that real quick. You'll have access to that at the very beginning of the game. My Arphasis currently has affinity rank 4, 7%. Let's talk about it. How it goes up from 0% of level 1 to 100% of level 4. How do I raise NPC affinity? Using their services, example Asuna, Argo, and Lisbeth and Aegil. Completing checkpoints within story mode, this raises affinities of certain characters. Within free roaming in dungeons. Complementing NPC actions using your complement hotkey. Reviving falling NPCs. What do I get from raising affinities? Level 2 and 3 affinities, special events with specific characters, true ending requirements with specific characters, level 4 affinity at 0%, special events with specific characters, first sleepover event, and the ability to change NPC outfits to specific characters. At 50%, level 4 affinity, second sleepover event at 75% level 4 affinity, third sleepover event, true ending requirements with specific characters. Sleepover events. Once you reach the affinity level 4 on a specific NPC, find a green bubble on the map and speak to them, and they speak to them and take them out for a date. You will then have to select the correct option to proceed to the sleepover event. Pick the wrong option and the date will abruptly end and you will have to reload the map to try again. Don't worry about failing, the options stay the same for the failed date. You get a special dialogue and maybe some eye candy or whatever floats your boat. As yourself, you can get sleepovers with your Arphasis, Kuraha, Zeliska, Aitsuki, Basalt Joe, Premier, Streya, Philia, Rain, 7, DLC 4, Yuna DLC 4, AG DLC 4. As Kirito, you can get sleepovers with Asuna, Sinon, Lifa, Lisbeth, Silica, Yuki, Argo, Klein, Agil, Alice DLC 3, UGL DLC 3, and Sachi DLC 4. I can change NPC costumes? Yes, you can. You will need to be at least level 4 affinity to change their clothes. Simply seek out your NPC around SPC Glocken or one of the various rooms within and select the option Gift. Then you select your outfit you want to give them. You can either swap an outfit this way or revert the NPC to their default outfits. You can change these NPC outfits: Kuriha, Zeliska, Itsuki, Premier, Streya, Philia, Rain, Yamakaze, DLC 1, Musketeer X, DLC 1, Dine, DLC 1, Shirley, DLC 2, Clarence, DLC 2, 7, DLC 4, Yuna, DLC 4, and AG, DLC 4. Some NPCs' outfits won't change unless you are playing Kirito mode. As Kirito mode, you can change Kirito, Asuna, Sinon, Lifa, Lisbeth, Silica, Yuki, Argo, Klein, Alice, DLC 3, Yu-Gi-Oh! DLC 3, Sachi DLC 4. And regardless of affinity level and character, you cannot change these NPCs' outfits. Basalt Joe, Agil, Lin, Fukuzero, Pita Hui, M, and Levier DLC 4. So if you are looking to spice up some party members, go ahead. Maybe give them an actually fitting costume that suits them, or even have your entire team go in a full-on uniform theme. Or if you are that sort of guy that wants your ladies to be eye candies, or there's a particular someone you just despise, we don't judge your taste here. Maybe. Part 5, Miscellaneous. Help, it says overweight. What is wrong? One of two reasons. You're equipped weapons way more than your character can handle. You're carrying too many different items. So what that means is in your stats menu, player, status, where it says gear weight, it says 0 out of 1,000. That means I can hold up to 1,000 gear weight. So if we look at a weapon that I bought, this has 116, I can wield that. That has 62, I can wield that. I can wield that. As long as it's lower than 1,000. This would be too much gear weight weapon. Right next to its accuracy, you see the weight, 2,520. Too much gear weight on that. My controller has disconnected. It's okay. I can... You guys get the idea. Alright, let me reconnect my controller really quickly. Hopefully this won't take me too long. Okay. Okay. Where was I at? Or you're carrying too many different items. So, yeah, that's the first thing. And the second thing is if you go to items, you have a maximum capacity of carrying 470 items. I like to only have at least less than 20 items on me at a time. Most of the time I just carry whatever weapon bullets I need, whatever outfits I'm wearing, whatever accessories I have, and I put my materials, my unappraised items, and all of my non-used weapons into my item box. All of my excess bullets I put in there, everything. I like having less than 20. I just like having low stuff, so that way when I go out to farm, I have plenty of space to farm for whatever I need. So, let's go back here. Alright. By different items, I mean items that you do not stack. Weapons, accessories, different miscellaneous items. Items like B-Wings, really common material, can stack up to 999 in your inventory, but it will still use up to 1 item slot, hence the different items part. Anyway, for the first reason, your strength stat may not be high enough for you to carry your guns around, so you may need to either increase your strength stat or find an accessory with weight chip on it or find a different lighter gun. For the second reason, check your items tab in your menu. While in Glocken, you can carry up to 500 different items. Anything above that gets you sent into your item box. But once you go out, the maximum amount of different items you can carry gets reduced by 30, which means that you can carry 470 different items. So what do? Simple, really. If you're in the field, open your items menu and toss some things out. This will delete them, so be careful. Second option, go back to Glocken and sell whatever you don't need. Third, and my favorite option, visit Elizabeth and use as many guns as you can, while selling everything you don't need. General tip, try not to be a hoarder. If you manage your inventory well enough, you should never get fat shamed by the game for carrying too much or for trying to be Hulk without enough strength. Make it a habit to visit your storage box to dump whatever you don't need yet before leaving for a mission. I keep trying to roll out of the way, but my character crouches instead. You're not the only one. A lot of actions are linked to their specific animations, and for the most part you will not be able to initiate another action that has its own animation until the previous animation is over. So all those times while you were activating a skill or buffing up and try to roll out of danger, just to see you crouch down and take the full blow, yep, you couldn't activate roll animation because you were unfortunate enough to be in the middle of activating a skill / buffing up an animation. This thing is very transparent while using certain late game skill, but if I know what players do, I'm pretty sure you will fall victim to it yourself, and yes, this is really stupid. I'm not faring well in missions. Is team composition important? Very much so, yes. I mentioned at the start that this game has RPG elements. You will need a balanced team of attackers / DPS, tanks, healers, and or buffers / debuffers to have sustenance in missions, and generally keep up with enemies. For me personally, as far as my team is concerned, I usually only go in with just me and my Arfices, and if not just me and my Arfices, I'll go in with Asuna, Lisbeth, and Silica. And the reason for that is because they have the best support skills in the game. They have nanotech, healing, crit, healing, curing, revive shot, Elizabeth has power, she has a debuff, she has HP recovery, and she's got healing as well, and revive shot. So I always go in with them, or alternatively, I just go in with my Arfices, give them a combination of these 3 character skills. Okay. And then I also bring in Asuna and Silica, specifically because they have revive shot. Alright. Okay. So now, that's just me personally though. I will be honest, many a time you will have to step in as the attacker / DPS or hybrid role in between. As I said before, your NPC teammates can be dumb as bricks, and they don't deal efficient damage as they rarely target enemy weak spots in general. They are best suited with roles that can assist you indirectly in battle. Below is a list of teammates that have proven their worth as well as their intended roles. So, as a side note here, it mentions that their damage is kind of lackluster. Just so you guys are aware, you can put stats onto your characters, and you might be asking, well, how do I do that? Well, you go, remember Argo? You visit your friendly neighborhood Argo, you go and you talk to her, and she's going to have something in this list of weapon arts and colognes and information called the chip enhancer, the memory chip enhancer. It's this thing right here, change memory chip, and it gives you the option to change your NPC's memory chips. And I've put some very special memory chips onto mine, don't worry about it. But that's basically the gist of that. Okay? Just as a side note, so you guys are aware. As far as the good NPCs, as I said before, Arphasis, Flexible, preferably support, Asuna, healer, buffer, Lisbeth, buffer, debuffer, Silica, healer, Premier, healer, buffer, Streya, tank, Rain, buffer, Kuraha, tank, buffer, Itsuki, debuffer, unlock before entering cave, Basalt Joe, tank, unlock before beating him the third time, Fugazero, crowd control, unlock after clearing SBC Flugel, Musketeer X, debuffer, DLC 1 exclusive, Alice, debuffer, DLC 3 exclusive, 7, healer / debuffer, DLC 4 exclusive, Yuna, debuffer, DLC 4 exclusive, and Sachi, buffer / debuffer / tank, DLC 4 exclusive. NPCs not listed here will not necessarily be bad, but they are outclassed by the ones above in terms of doing their job. However, these are some teammates here you should avoid to make the game easier. Kirito, yes, ironically enough, the main character is surprisingly useless. Lifa, Philia, Zeliska, unlock after beating the Gatekeeper. Pitohui, unlock after clearing SBC Flugel. Shirley, DLC 2 exclusive. Ugh, people say there's a Kirito mode. What is it, and is it compulsory? Title says it all. Let me scroll down. Title says it all. A long way into the story, you will unlock the ability to be Kirito and play out the Phantom Bullet arc from the source material. You do this by exiting back into the main menu, select Start Game, instead of Continue, click on your account and select Kirito mode. As much as how some of you guys might hate Jesus-kun with a passion, if you want to have the true ending, this mode is unfortunately compulsory. If you're finding it too difficult to beat this mode, here's a tip. Jesus-kun has a wonderful life-saving skill that rhymes with board carrier. I'm sure you'll figure it out when the time comes. What do you get from beating Kirito mode? Not exactly a lot, but here are some of them. Skill, Phantom Bullet, creates a purple bullet line that builds up suppression as well as a laser light show. Gadget, a metamaterial camouflage. Death Gun's invisibility cloak. Weapon art, gun and sword. Key item, Arphasis charm, required for true ending. Once you have finished the Phantom Bullet arc, you can just exit and permanently ignore Kirito mode. No need to finish just justifying his terrible build. There is a true ending. How do I obtain it? Warning, spoilers. So if you do not wish to be spoiled, please skip this section. Yes, 2 normal ends and the good true end to obtain the right to have the true end. Reach 75% level 4 affinity on Arphasis, Kuraha, Zeliska, Itsuki, Basalt Joe, and view all their sleepovers. Reach level 2 affinity on Kirito, Asuna, Sinon, Lifa, Lisbeth, Silica, Yuki, Argo, Agil, Premier, Streya, Philia, and Rain. Get a normal ending at least once, You don't have to do it again if you have done it on normal difficulty in New Game Plus. Complete Aegil's, Asuna's, and Lisbeth's quest pertaining to their jobs. Beat Kiritomood at least once. You do not have to do it again if you have done it on normal difficulty in New Game Plus. Obtain the Artificer's Charm once you have done all these steps above. Do these requirements above before tackling Mother Claudia quest, then proceed as normal. You'll know that you are on your way to reach the true ending if your death game quest is called Fatal Bullet instead of the Clincher. The one more thing, at the boss fight against the GM, prevent it from casting its Shadow Ball by hitting it in the head or weak spot until it's stunned. Proceed normally after that. So shoot it in its little chest. Spoilers end here, by the way, so if you didn't want to be spoiled, skip till this point. People talk a lot about New Game Plus. What is it, and do I have to do it? In layman's terms, it is New Game Plus redoing the story mode on extreme difficulty. You do this by not offering to rewind time and starting the story from the beginning, after beating the final boss. Then you head to advanced options and change the difficulty from easy/normal to extreme. Then you start game using your old player character. How is extreme versus easy/normal? Enemy level, health, and damage increased. Enemy spawns increased. On easy difficulty there are less enemy spawns than on normal. What do I retain from my previous account? Levels, stats, bounty reward value, and experience, learnt skills, weapons, skill, and gadget proficiencies, customization data and gallery, items in inventory and storage box, on hand and saved money, ability to dual wield weapons, NPC outfits, DLC quest progress including the home expansion. Equipped accessories on both you and your Artificers may cause some interesting results. What do I lose from my previous account? Story progression, Artificer's room functions, all quests except DLCs, NPC affinities, weapon arts, rebuy from Argo, metal exchange limit. What new things do I get from New Game Plus? Hidden NPC memories scattered around the world and dungeons, chests, increased specific character affinity gain, nostalgic echo from Argo, increased all character affinity gain, access to 2 extreme specific dungeons, Sea Watchtower and SBC Flugel Stern, additional levels for Lisbeth's modification, a fresher albeit more difficult experience of the story. It is by no means compulsory to do it, but if you want to have the max top tier weapons, tackle the harder PvE co-op content, and in general the full Fatal Bullet experience, I strongly recommend you continue on New Game Plus. How does healing in this game work? This game already breaks shooter norms by having healing skills and abilities to supplement you in battle, while the very obvious effect of sustainability is present. Some forms of healing increase metal gauge, which in turn will increase your weapon damage and temporarily boost all your stats, and is one of the cornerstones of having a much easier time fighting most of the in-game content. Many things in the game provide either instant HP healing or HP regeneration. The appropriate sources of healing are as follows: skills, healing bullet, target ally for instant HP healing, HP recovery shot, target ally for additional HP regeneration, healing field shot, target area of effect, instant HP healing, shield matrix, self-cast for 8 burst HP regeneration after charging for some time, only available for skill level 2 and onwards, gadgets, first aid kit and its upgrade, self-cast to provide additional HP regeneration, accessory memory chips. Percent of max HP recovered per minute adds passive HP regeneration based on your maximum HP. Doesn't provide the HP regen while flinching/knockback. HP recovery. provides additional HP healing from most sources of healing. Example, plus 50% HP recovery will mean that a 1000 HP heal will heal you for 1500 HP instead. Applies to all forms of healing except for percent of max HP recovery per minute memory chip. NPCs. Arpsis, whatever healing skills you put on her. Asuna, healing bullet and healing field shot. Xenon, HP recovery shot. Lifa, healing bullet. Lisbeth, HP recovery shot. Silica, healing field shot. Premier, healing bullet. Zeliska, healing bullet. 7, HP recovery shot and a healing field shot. Miscellaneous. Crouching stance increases both accuracy and provides slight passive HP regeneration. 0.4% max HP per second. I have the DLCs and I want to access it, but how? DLCs can be accessed as soon as you first unlock Forgotten Woods in the main story. Once you have done so, return to the main menu, select Start Game. Instead of Continue, click on your account and select the appropriate DLC mode you want to experience. DLC storylines are separate from the main quests and are much higher in difficulty than the main story, so I strongly suggest finishing the story at least once before hopping into the DLCs. DLCs add extra story content, new weapons, outfits, accessories, dungeons, game modes, and a lot more. They flesh out the game and also enhance the experience. Do note you cannot continue the main quest while in DLC mode and vice versa. Switch back to the appropriate game mode if you want to continue on something. Does this game have free roam co-op? Unfortunately, no. There are hardcore co-op missions that allow you to do this on a smaller scale though. Some of them can, however, get really difficult, so get help for those sort of dungeons whenever you can. Something to be of note on that. There is a mod that does exist that allows you to do single player co-op. Look up the YouTuber Yuki Plays. He has made a video on it, I believe. He's very, very entertaining Fatal Bullet content creator. I highly recommend you guys go give him a watch and a sub. Much love to you, Yuki Plays. And yeah, just wanted to give a shout out to my man, the myth, the legend, Yuki Plays. I have fiber internet, but why is online multiplayer so laggy? You either have the game's shitty peer-to-peer netcode and or the 30 versus 60 FPS difference between you and another player to blame. Sadly, things are out of your control. I need EXP to level up more. Any fast ways to do so? Slightly limited. If you are firm on remaining within the story mode, farm bosses and or player NPCs within your level. They would usually yield good loot as well as a healthy amount of XP to boot. You will need to be patient after all. This is a TPS with RPG elements, so grinding is an integral part of this game. Also ensure you have experience points memory chips on your both weapons and accessories. Another option for EXP farming is completing player hunting quests. Accept these quests at the Squadron PvP room or your own room. These enemy PCs can be a bit difficult while having some rather hilariously illegal skills, but some more than often the target and his teammates can yield pretty good EXP. You can sadly only do these missions once per playthrough, so do fight them again. You will need to run New Game Plus. But if you really cannot be arsed, pop by the Fatal Bullet Discord and head over to the PvP/co-op chat to seek out kind and helpful players willing to carry you through harder content that yields a lot of XP. Just be aware you will have to be dead weight for this, and keep in mind that other players might be doing something else on their own, so they might not always be available. Anyway, as effective as this is, this might destroy game progression, so unless you really don't care that much about progression, I wouldn't exactly recommend co-op. I got an impressively high weapon rank drop that does a lot of damage. Should I equip it since you said the higher the weapon rank the better? No! I know I did tell you higher weapon rank equals better, but what I am talking about is something as a big difference as our rank 7 to rank 11 weapons in your first playthrough, and not something like having rank 3 to 4 weapons. Sounds like I am contradicting myself at this point, but I have plenty of good reasons as to why I put a red big fat no up there. Trust me when I say this question is very important. Now, as to why I say no, along with other long-standing members of the community, so this isn't exactly an opinionated bias, you pay too much for its return. High-ranked weapons, especially max rank 11 weapons, eat up huge amounts of strength and dex to equip them, let alone dual wield, and they can be very heavy for low-level players. Chances are, even if you have the stats, you will still go overweight in general. No problem, I can just easily respec myself to equip those weapons, right? Wrong. You sacrifice player utility / versatility for only a portion of your build. I already mentioned this at the start, and we all cannot stress this enough. This game is heavily skill-based. Weapons and stats alone won't be enough to simply clear the game, as some skills can really save your bacon against certain enemies. So you really want to use this high-ranked weapon for some big damage, right? Respect yourself to have high strength index and you can deal with the rest, right? Unfortunately, you sacrifice many other stats that can directly / indirectly assist you in this game. Vitality, luck, and agility, and a buckload of those really vital skills that can help you throughout the game would require you to have points in those stats. Because how skills work in this game, you gain proficiency the more you use. You would ideally be constantly using your important skills so that your skills can also keep up with the game difficulty. Tanking your other stats for strength and dex means that you wouldn't have the stats to equip said skills, and they fall behind rather easily. You can farm weapons easily, but farming skill proficiency is a lot more difficult. Imagine not having enough vitality to survive some attacks. Imagine not having enough intelligence to cast vital debuffs. Imagine not having enough agility to be mobile, and a whole lot more. Overall, you can become a glass cannon. You one-shot enemies, but the same applies to you. Now you are thinking, why do I need skills when I can just easily one-shot enemies? They won't pose a threat this way. Because you encourage complacency and thus not fully understand the game. This sounds absolutely elitist, but this cannot be any more true than it is. Killing enemies very fast is a thing. After all, a good defense is the best offense, they all say. But if you kill them too fast, you don't learn anything from the enemy, attack patterns, weak spots, etc. And killing them fast means you are more than often skip the grinding, pretty much the equivalent of pay-to-win game. You essentially become complacent to this game. You have the gear, you just won't know how to use it well. To what happens when you actually run into a tough enemy / boss, one that is way too tanky for you to one-shot, one that its attacks you have absolutely never seen before, one where you have a incredibly loaded high rank weapon. It is the equivalent of a gimmick. One where you have to tank a specific attack, you will be screwed. Enough said. You have no good stats, you will have very little skill utility, and your AI NPC is as dumb as bricks to even help. All you have is just an incredibly loaded high rank weapon. It is the equivalent of a gimmick. If there is an enemy that can outlast your gimmick, suffice it to say you will have absolutely no backup for this scenario, and a loss is almost inevitable. Then you question, why is this so tough? Why must enemies have bullshit attacks? Why is the difficulty spike so large? While I can agree with some of the questions, do remember you are doing such a gimmicky build at your expense. Gimmicks always will have a counter, and this game is no exception. And you will have to remember that game difficulty will increase as you play, so such tactics will eventually stop being as effective as you progress. Remember this: Fatal Bullet, a RPG-ish third-person shooter, skills and builds are as important, if not more important, than just weapons in this game. You destroy games progression / immersion. To put it into perspective, you as a new player would be, I'd say, within the range of a level 70 to 80 when you finish any of the game's ending for the first time. You can very easily clear the game for the first time with simple rank 4 weapons. Heck, outside of DLCs, the main story will not give you anything above rank 4 weapons on your first playthrough. Food for thought, the first high-ranked weapons, rank 8 plus, are obtained around the level 150 to 160 mark, and the highest ranked weapons, rank 11, are meant for players around level 225 or above. Not only they have the stats to back up the high stat requirements, majority of them have a decent understanding of the game's mechanics. So having extremely loaded weapons this early on will literally put this game into extra easy mode. Enemies and bosses die in one shot, and it tends to get boring real fast. Other stuff. There is one rare exception to this rule, however. Maybe you found a high-ranked weapon that can fit into your current build without some serious respecking. That is fine and all, but chances it may not be a weapon you like either, of course. You may reach a point where your current equipment isn't enough to pass through certain areas of the game, and finding and equipping more powerful weapon may help you clear it. But if you can't equip it with reallocating your enough stats to keep your skills, it's generally not worth it. After all, there are players who can beat difficult enemies even with subpar weapons. The difference is they have access to their highest level skills as well as understanding of enemy tactics and attack patterns. Don't forget, this game is heavily skill based, and you'd be removing a lot of your power just to equip a single weapon. Bottom line, use higher weapon ranks, yes, but use them in capacity that you don't sacrifice a lot in other parts of your build just to use it. You can work around your stats and equip said high rank weapons, but you shouldn't said high rank weapons, but you shouldn't due to potential of sacrificing too many vital skills that can and will help you in the long run, and ruining your progression / immersion of getting stronger with each passing minute. Finally, back to the start of this guide. Why aren't you going to include rank 1 to 10 weapons so that this guide can help newer players? I will be direct. Whether you like it or not, between those ranks, what gun you have and use matters less. So long as you employ proper game tactics, you should have little trouble clearing the game's offline content. Besides, those guns you want to get at those lower ranks will be often thrown away as you progress higher, since you cannot upgrade guns with the ++ suffix. So I don't see much point making a guide for newer players to attempt to find the god-roll gun for their choice until they suddenly find out that they need to bin it. What memory chips should I put on these weapons, and are they specific? Unless I mention specific chip combinations, generally many weapons in this game follow a set on how you build your weapons memory chips, as such the list below. And I'm going to check the time. That's going to do it for part 1 of this video. Actually, I'm going to go over the memory chips first. Most weapon classes: weapon attack, damage versus max, physical attack / optical attack, weak spot damage, damage at max HP, and the last 3 slots are filter. You can put anything you want. Most weapon classes with over 5% crit rate: weapon attack, damage versus max, physical / optical attack, crit rate, weak spot damage, crit damage, damage at max HP, and last weapon memory chip is filter, anything you want. If it's an automatic weapon, I recommend auto reload rate. If it's something like, I don't know, semi-auto, maybe put debuff stacking on there, or always you have XP points, just depends. Damage versus life forms is good. Gatling guns. Weapon attack, damage versus mechs, physical/optical attack, overheat buildup and duration, weak spot damage, damage at max HP, bullet circle accuracy, and damage versus life forms. Launchers. Add crit chips if launcher base crit rate is above 5%. Weapon attack, physical attack/optical attack, damage versus mechs, explosive attack, damage at max HP, crit rate, crit damage if it's above 5% base crit rate, and damage versus life forms or humanoids. Or auto reload rate. Despite the fact that most grenade launchers and Crimson Roar Type 3+ don't have physical/optical damage component to be visually boosted, projectiles here gain increased damage from said memory chips. Which one you put in depends on the weapon's ammo type. Grenades, physical attack, launcher EP, optical attack. Swords, weapon attack, crit rate, physical attack, crit damage, damage at max HP, damage versus mechs, damage from behind, and damage versus life forms. Similar to launchers, physical attack doesn't visually boost the power of swords, but increased damage dealt via sword skills does, as swords are heavily reliant on dealing damage through spamming its skills. Physical attack is thus mandatory on swords. Alternatively, you should be reliant on certain indirect ways of attacking enemies via skills. Their damage component is boosted differently. These memory chips below boost damage done by respective skills. Physical attack increases the skill Nemesis Burst. Optical attack increases the skill Blazing Blast, Electrodynamic Stunner, Heat Detonator, Plasma Blast. An explosive attack increases the damage of skills Toxic Gas Blast, Explosive Shot, and Gravitation Shot. Why aren't these weapons divided by their tiers? How do I know if they are good or bad then? I will explain in later sections whether or not these guns are actually good, but really, as much as I love to insult how these guns pale in comparison to its peers, every single gun in this game is very usable and can clear the hardest game content so long as you get your shit together. I would like to mention that every gun, and by extension skill in this game, has a use. Some may perform its job better than it, but it doesn't change the fact that it can be used. Don't let this weapon guide dissuade you from using your favorite weapon as long as you understand the strengths and weaknesses of your gun. Now with that out of the way, let's dive in. So how will I be using this guy? The categories in here will be as follows: gun stats, short intro into the gun, overview of its function, does the gun have a build it needs, verdict, strictly my opinion, and farm locations. I'm going to go over all of the different weapons in part 2. If you guys enjoyed this video, please a like and a sub to the channel will be very much appreciated, and please comment down below if this guide was helpful to you as an introduction, and I'll see you in the next video. Later!